From the high desert Southwest in an indiscreet barbershop located within the walls of the Grand Canyon, broadcasting north to the Arctic Circle and Ice Station Zebra and south to McMurdo Sound, east and west across all time zones, this is TSC Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be on this big blue rock we call home, and welcome to TSC Radio. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, finally, after a one-year hiatus. We hope that you'll enjoy the show, and what's on deck for the show tonight is we got a couple of topics we're going to be talking about, including, at the end of the show, we will have our owner roundtable, which we did actually by Zoom call, so that'll be interesting as well. So our topics for tonight is our normal mail call, where there's different topics that have come in that you guys want answers to. Our second segment of the show will be on COVID-19. How are you guys doing, and some of the stories from some of the families as well. And then finally, we'll finish up the show before the Owners Roundtable with a topic on straights, shavettes, single edge razors, and so forth, and some of the questions you had for that. So all this and a whole bunch more on this episode of TSC Radio. We'll be back right after this.
Pee-wee Reese has a way with Dodger rookies or Sandlot youngsters. Pee-wee, you do a lot of work with boys.
Not work, Al. I like baseball and kids. I enjoy helping teenagers start right.
Well, that's around shaving age, and you give them pointers on personal appearance, too?
Yes, a boy has more self-respect when he's clean shaved. I tell him to use a Gillette razor, Al.
You said it, the Gillette Super Speed Razor. And today there are 3. Light for sensitive skin and most younger men. Regular for average skin and beard. Heavy for men who like the heft and feel of a heavier razor. Each is different, precisely engineered. One has the right blade edge exposure, edge angle, and weight to shave you in a breeze. Comfortable, good-looking shaves you may never have had before. And convenient, you change blades and rinse clean so. Choose your Gillette Super Speed Razor. $1.29 with Gillette Blue Blade dispenser and handy travel case.
Welcome back to the TSC Radio Show, everybody. We certainly appreciate you spending some time with us. And we're going to do our first segment, as you saw in the opening, our mail call section. This can be a lot of fun, a lot of information that gets pressed out. And this is where you guys type in questions that you may have for me being the radio host and just in general. So we'll get that kicked off tonight from Chris Gearnor on the forum, who is our bingo emeritus from game number 15. And if you haven't tried the bingo game, you really, really should. It's a lot of fun. As well as our next participant in the Pocky Challenge. Now, I do need to call you out, Mr. Gearnor. We'd like to see you do that because D. Keister, Doug, is waiting on his Death Nut Challenge stuff to get in. And there's a chance he may do it before you. And you don't want to have you hang that over your head for the rest of the forum. So we'll go ahead and get started. His question was, any insight on what suddenly has kicked up the TSC numbers? Is it just a function of reaching a certain critical mass or something else? Well, I think that the owners and I, my partners and I have talked about this, and we think that the influx in numbers have come for 2 reasons. One, there's more people spending time at home, obviously, during the COVID-19 situation, excuse me. That's part of it. Plus, we have a lot of our new retail artisan vendors and our new members that are really out promoting and being billboards for the TSC. I think that's why you're seeing the numbers increase. I think that last check we were at like 350, somewhere around in there, on our way up. Chris, Chad, and I are planning something for 500. However, I will tell you that it has nothing to do with eating anything hot or death-defying. And, of course, as soon as the tattoo shops open up here in Tucson, I'll be getting the TSC tattoo, and UA Cowboy Kyle will actually be filming that, and we may even do either a Zoom call or a Facebook Live as it happens, so stay tuned for that. So hopefully that answers your question. And this comes from one of my partners and one of the owners here at TSC, from Chad. He grew a goatee again. Insert your own comments here. I don't know whether we would call it a goatee, but I'll let you be the judge. And you can take a look at this picture here and you tell me if that's a true goatee or somebody who looks like an Uber driver standing too close to your door as you look through the peephole. So, now this one comes from Michael, and Michael asks, how about specific straight razor techniques for common trouble spots like the chin, jawline, etc.? Michael, I did a lot of thinking about this, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a topic up in the TSC radio show, and maybe, because it's hard to explain how to do certain maneuvers with a straight razor without actually showing. Now, there's two trains of thought. You can either do a video, but the problem is then you're reading what somebody may want, and it may not be exactly what they're looking for. So what I'm considering doing, and I've still got to work out the logistics, is doing a live Zoom call where you guys are all taking place. I'll have the straight razor, and maybe we'll have more than one of us that will actually take questions from you on specific techniques in live real time. And so I will dedicate my face to being able to lather up a whole bunch of times and changing and trying to do different maneuvers. So TSC members, we'd like to see what your thought process on that, because if this first one works well, doing a Zoom call with straight razor, trouble spot techniques or any type of techniques, we may extend that to DE stuff, honing, and everything else. So keep an eye out in the TSC radio forum for a topic on a straight razor Zoom call that I would be more than happy to set up. So hopefully, Mike, that answers that. And this comes from Rich, and this is in response to Chad saying that he grew a goatee again. And actually, this comes from Nurse Dave as well. It just says, just because you keep calling it a goatee doesn't make it real. And from Rich, this comes as a question. Actually, Chad is going to have some theories on his goatee when we get to the owner roundtable, so we'll talk about that then. Now, as far as reaching the first goal of establishing ourselves as a respected cadre shave board small, Rich is asking what's next. Is there a critical mass for unprecedented self-moderating type of board? Rich, Chris, Chad, and I talked about this at length, and it'll be mentioned a little bit on the owner roundtable, but our process and our thought process is we will always be self-moderated. Now, does that mean at some point in time we may not have to enlist some moderators to help monitor the board? And I underline the word monitor, not moderate, because the one thing that we have hung our hat on and branded the Shaving Cadre is as a self-moderating, self-policing forum. Now, does that mean that Chad, Chris, and I can't, don't go in and kind of, put the ship right on course again? No, but we never see a time, at least at this point in time, where we will go from the self-moderated, self-policing forum. We do not believe in banning threads. We do not believe in shoehorning things. We do not believe in being dictatorial. So as of right now, the answer to that, Rich, would be no. We won't put it out of our mind that at someday we may enlist some of our long-term legacy members to assist us in monitoring it, but that does not mean moderation. All those decisions as far as moderation and so forth, that will always maintain between Chris, myself, and Chad. So hopefully that answers the question. Now, Sam, good old Sam from Ajax, Ontario, Canada, is asking why his beard is gray. It never used to be gray when he was younger. Well, quite honestly, Sam, I think he answered your own question. As we get older, the gray hair, and from a barber standpoint, it's called canishes. Canishes is actually, and it's with a T. Why it's pronounced canishes, I don't know, but it's canishes. And basically, over time, the melanin, which is your pigment, goes away. It could be due to injury. It could be due to the fact that you're just not producing melanin anymore. So that's why you're going gray. And a lot of people say, well, color it. Well, unless you have it done by what they call Bajan beard or a professional coloring, I do not suggest that you go out and do just for men. Chemically wise, if your face has any sensitivity, you will burn your follicles out, so it's not a good idea. So just embrace the gray and go from there. Sam, we all love you, and I don't think you need to worry about it. Now, another question from Sam who has been 3017 Pitcherlawn since February of 05, but I think he's added some orange to it. He's asking, why is the Shaving Cadre bingo so evil? Well, too bad we don't have the monkey, John, on board. However, this goes back to the old days at B&B. We experimented, and I would say probably John, KJ, and myself, and then to some lesser extent Chad, started investigating on what things we could do to make the game more challenging. Well, unfortunately, that turned into an obsession, and we created ways of calling numbers, both visible and invisible, multiple links, click, 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 and John really embraced it and became what we call El Diablo de Bingo. So he is the bingo devil, but we love him to death, and but the bingo game's fun. Now, the TSC bingo is much, much more relaxed and a little bit easier to see. So I wouldn't call it evil. I would call it challenging. So hopefully, Sam, that answers your question on that. Now, he also has wanted me to put out a comment that says, Nurse Dave is the best bingo caller ever. Now, this is all in capitals with multiple exclamation points. Now, at that point, I responded that it looked like him and David were getting married, and then Rich chimed in and said that he loved it as well. So now, apparently, they are all three. Apparently, it's going to be a threerage, or whatever they call that nowadays, and they are picking out drapes as we speak. And I think Sam was hoping that he was going to be able to get some good bingo calls. And finally, somebody, and I won't mention who, placed that KJ, who has been a bingo caller forever and actually does it in real life, stated that KJ wishes that he was as good a caller as Amber. I'll leave it at that. So anyway, TSC members, we have a lot of fun with the mail call. Please understand that for every radio show we have, there will be a topic that you can mail in anything. We'll answer anything. I'll answer anything, within limits, obviously, because we are a family show. But feel free to mail in your suggestions for our mail call section. We appreciate it, and we have a lot of fun. As you can see, we want to get more and more people involved, and that's it. We're going to close up the mailbag, and we'll be back right after this.
Men, after every shave, you need new Ice Blue Aqua Velva, the aftershave lotion that's better for your skin. Aqua Velva cools away razor burn, soothes irritated skin, contains humectant, a skin conditioner that puts back skin moisture. Get new Ice Blue Aqua Velva in this handsome decanter bottle. You'll like its clean, manly scent. You'll hear 'em say,
"There's something about an Aqua Velva man."
And we're back, and before we get started on our next segment, just want to let you know that please make sure that you check around the forum for the different topics. There are more topics than you can think of, anything from shaving to food to hobbies. There's all kinds of things around the forum, so make sure you check all those out. Also, I would ask that you please go to our hobbyist and our retail artisan section. These are the folks that have done tireless things to support the Shaving Cadre, and we'd appreciate your patronage to them. They do great products and so forth, so check them out, as we certainly do appreciate them and you each and every day. Okay, the next topic, kind of it can be a rough subject sometime to talk about, because we've been involved in this since, some of us since January, some of us since March. I know for myself, I've been in quarantine, as they say, since March 15th. However, this is something unprecedented. Now, those of us that have been in the military have been sequestered and stuff like that. However, this is something on a national scale. So what we thought would be a good idea is to kind of, ask folks and ask our members what they're doing. The biggest response that we've had is that the Zoom calls that we've been having every Wednesday night have really helped, because you can put a face to the name. It's like going out to a pub and having a drink virtually, and it's been a lot of fun, and we're finding out a lot about each other. We're even having spouses and family members and pets even join us for those Zoom calls, so please keep an eye out on that. This is something we're probably most definitely going to keep going after this whole COVID-19 crisis is over. We do have a COVID-19 thread as well, and I felt that it was important that I mentioned something that occurred on the forum. We do not believe in banning subjects. We will continue to support your guys' right to talk about whatever you want. However, we want to keep it in a aggressive format, meaning that, as you know, most social media arenas are creating this divide. Whether you like it, whether you don't, what people are doing, what are not doing. What we're trying to do is we're just trying to keep it nice and mellow. And so those of you that read that statement that I made on the forum, please understand it was not pointed at anybody specific, but we don't want to get to the point where we have to start moderating forums due to people getting in arguments, due to people having varied political arguments and or opinions. Let's keep it light as possible. Let's respect what the other person has to say without getting into any type of debate whatsoever. So enough said on that. So this topic is COVID. How are you doing? Now, the first one comes from Chris Giernor in Sacramento, California. And he states he's trying to stick to a day-to-day routine, especially revolving around school and work. Wake up, get ready for the day, eat breakfast, get a little free time, start school and work, and try to finish around lunchtime. Lunch, some free times on electronics, gaming, for those of you that don't know Chris, and then some time on the forum, having some dinner, and evenings have been a little bit more fluid for them. Chris doesn't have any really new hobbies, but he has been turning to his Bible study skills into a video series, which is nice. I'm sure he'll make notes of that for us. His neighborhood community is doing food distribution, free meals, keeping those on social media aware of citywide decisions and health initiatives being made. His church community is checking with members via phone calls, holding virtual church services, devotional studies, and running errands for elderly and disabled members, and continuing to aid the local and foreign missions. So these are the good stories that come out, and thank you, Chris, for your submission. These are the good stories of what the media, unfortunately, sometimes does not portray, and that was kind of the onus behind this as well. Now, this comes from Mark B., and Mark is considered an essential worker as he works in telecommunications. So he has to deal with a lot of what others don't have. His wife had her hours reduced for about a month, but the governor eased some of the restrictions, and she's gone back to work full-time, so that's good news. Mark doesn't have any new hobbies, but he's begun to re-educate himself on reading music. He used to be fairly proficient years ago, but I let it get away from him, so he's learning a lot of new songs for the country band that he participates in, and in preparation for when they can get out and start playing shows, which can't come soon enough. Well, that's great, Mark, because I actually play guitar and banjo, and I have been trying to get more and more back into it again, because I think what happens is this has slowed us all down. For those people that have work, it hasn't changed. Like for my wife, it hasn't changed at all. I mean, she's considered essential and she has to work like crazy. But for those of us that are sitting around the house, and I think I saw something on the internet that was good, is we have become the dogs of our house. We get up in the morning, we go around searching for food until somebody slaps us and tells us to get out of the refrigerator. So it's interesting. And same as Chris above, Mark's community has been doing food distribution. Several people are making cloth face masks for free. And at his company, they've suspended termination for people who can't pay due to financial hardships from the pandemic, and for those families whose kids are telelearning. We've doubled their internet speed for free for the duration of the school year. So there are, the large corporations that we all complain about, they are doing things to try to help people out. And let's face it, it helps their bottom line, because if they cancel somebody, they're never going to get them back. So the good news is that they'll keep their customers. Now, this comes from Kyle, UA Cowboy, just my neighbor down the street. Sanity, what's that? Kyle and his family are just trying to keep the kids occupied and happy since they haven't gotten to go anywhere. Kyle's wife is working from home via teletherapy, which is a challenge to deal with since she has to make things as private as possible as a therapist. And Kyle, as a dispatcher for an electrical utility, is an essential employee, and he still has to go into work, and he commutes a long way, probably 30 miles one way each day. He's also catching up on some yard work, which, we don't want to do, but now we have to. And there's nothing new than trying to get some things rolling that have been on the back burner for him. The community is doing much as the same as most areas currently, trying to protect small businesses, making sure needs are met, and no one's utilities are getting turned off. And I know that Kyle has... thanks to me, has gotten chickens, and I know that that's keeping him busy. Plus, he's got 2 big dogs, and he's the cook of the house. Join us on our Zoom call. He just made a butterscotch bourbon pie that looked fantastic, and we want it badly. This comes from KJ, and KJ is stating that Amber and him are both essential, so their workload and their work week has largely gone unchanged. On the Air Force Base, they're required to wear masks if they're within 6 feet of another person. The Air Force marketing team is doing a lot of contests, trivia nights, photo submissions, and other events on a daily basis during the week to keep the people engaged and entertained. So many of the evenings are spent doing those items online. They've won a few gift certificates, and KJ won a $50 commissary gift certificate for winning the science trivia, so they're pretty fun. And it should be noted that KJ is a retired Air Force officer and now a contractor attached to the Air Force. They've got no real new hobbies. They don't really have a lot of extra free time, but the season has changed and warmer weather brings yard work and garden preparation. All this spring rain made the lawn grow like crazy, and it takes about 4 hours to mow. He has 7 acres, and he doesn't mow the whole thing. They've prepped the garden for planting by putting fertilizer, mulch, weed control, landscape fabric, and the garden is quite big. It's 2,300 square feet, and he just ordered 75 tree seedlings of oak, maple, and birch to start reforesting part of his property. So that should look pretty good in about 5 years, and he plans on spending a lot of time working on his property this year. But the newest thing that he is doing is Zoom calls with the cadre, as I've been promoting. This is new and different and takes the membership with the cadre to the next level. It's so much fun, and Amber and him enjoy sitting and listening and participating. And KJ is asking, as well as we have been doing, if you remember and you really need to join a session and see what it's all about. Now, this comes from Farmer Tan. I need to do the Zoom thing. I missed one, and I think it was the first one, another engagement. Obviously, it wasn't too important, as I have no idea what it was. As the weather here in Michigan has finally gotten nicer, I've taken to walking every evening after supper with my lovely War Department. We have lots of laughs, and tonight we really pushed ourselves and did a good, pretty rapid half mile. Heart failure sucks, but I've lived with 13 longer than I was expected. So there you go. So instead of being sedentary, he's getting up, he's walking, he's doing things, and telling the heart failure to hold his beer because he's going to be well. So we appreciate that, Farmer 10. This comes from Don. Outside performing work tasks each day, I've been able to do some housework that I've been putting off, painting the new baby's bedroom. Need to do pressure wash the walkway, driveway and house, took a bunch of crap to the dump, and as I said, painting the room for the new baby. Since all this has begun, I've actually exercised more than I did when I was working. With the meager weights that I have, I've been able to do full body workouts 3 to 4 days a week. I've also been riding the bike more often and stuck about 20 pounds in a backpack and hike around the neighborhood. I want to build a pull-up bar, but just haven't gotten around to it. I've done some other things here and there, color in a book and paint a couple of ceramic pieces. One of the things I wanted to do was read more, and I haven't accomplished that yet. From Deep Sea, the biggest positive that I experienced during this time is the increased time I get to spend with my daughter and wife. I got to really whip the yard back into shape, and it's a fun place for the little one. His new hobby is wielding straight razors. Yay! And it's turned into quite a Zen-like experience, as well as the exercise and wound care. Believe me, Deep Sea, I can relate. And then I believe this is from Jerry. I apologize if it's not. Jerry's getting a ton of work done around the house, lots of little things that never make it to the top of the list. Also, him and his wife are committed to walking 30 miles in April, so we hope you completed that now that it's May. And they're going to increase the mileage for this month as well. Probably not the healthiest thing, but he's bought a pipe to try out. Well, the good news is you'll be walking, so maybe you'll cancel out some of those pipe smokes. His wife is a full-time teacher's aide, but also works a couple of days at the local YMCA. She volunteered to help with their shepherding program, where they call and check on their senior members to make sure they're okay and have everything they need. And also, he wants to go fly fishing. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are just very quick stories of what people are doing to cope with the COVID-19 thing, and we certainly appreciate it. And thank you, and continue to be safe. Our prayers, I mean, we're coming out of this slowly but surely. And the things that I've seen in talking to people is that if you look at India, you can actually see the mountains that you've never been able to see in 30 years. In Los Angeles, I talked to Chris yesterday, and he's in the Los Angeles basin. You can actually see to the San Gabriel Mountains. You can actually see. So there is, as bad as this has been, there are good things going on, and I think what it's going to do is it probably will, we hope that it will change the way we all think, but the thought process is within 2 weeks we'll be right back to where we was. So who knows? But we hope here at the TSC that your families are remaining safe. Our prayers are with you each and every day, and we'll be back for our final segment right after this.
Oops. Now there's a happy accident. An accident that could lead to opportunity. But then he had to take off his hat. And uh-oh, poor guy. Dry, lifeless hair can take the fun out of your life, but you can put it back with Brill Cream. With Brill Cream, a little dab'll do you. Watch Brill Cream put life in dry hair and fun back into your life. Brill Cream gives your hair that look the ladies love.
Excitingly clean, disturbingly healthy, so masculine. Watch.
Brill Cream, a little dabble do ya. Brill Cream, you look so debonair. Brill Cream, the gals will all pursue ya. They'll love to get their fingers in your hair.
Use Brill Cream and put life in your hair.
Welcome back to the TSC Radio Show, everybody. We certainly hope you also like those little vintage shaving commercials that we put in between segments. We try to search those out and find as many as we can, just to remind people what it was like back in the day when Gillette was king, so to speak. Okay, our final topic for tonight, before we go into the owner roundtable, is straights, shavettes, and so forth. There was a thread on the I believe it was in the general, it may have been in the blade section, talking about DE or SE, single edge style shavettes and other shavettes as well. And so we thought we'd read some comments on these. And this first one comes from Ed. And he would like to know everyone's horror stories about slices, cuts, gashes, and whatnot associated with using straights. Well, we did get a lot of responses on that. However, I think some of us here on the forum have some videos of when we've gotten the racing stripes. We call it basically the big wreck at Daytona. I recently put out a video where I wasn't paying attention too much and the blade wasn't in the best shape, and it sliced me. But the biggest two injuries that I've seen and been a part of was back when Chris, CMH737, and I had I can't remember the style of shavette that it was, but it was a very inexpensive shavette, and I had torn myself up. In fact, I had probably a 2.5-inch scar, and it bled. And this was very early on in my straight shaving career, so I had kind of fallen down that rabbit hole saying, try a shavette first, which I will say right now I categorically think that starting with a shavette before going to a straight razor is absolutely wrong. I think that they're far too maneuverable, and when you're building the muscle memory to wield a straight, it's too easy to make a mistake. And plus the blade exposure, if you don't have a guard, like I know with the WEC you can put a guard on it, I just don't recommend it, but that's me personally. So I sent that same shavette to Chris, and he had the exact same results. and we were fairly far along in our shaving career. I mean, not, and so we knew what we were doing, but they're horrid in my opinion. I use it at the barbershop only for neck lineups and so forth and so on. So hopefully I will make this another topic for another show to see if people will start sharing some of their stuff. But I believe that if you're going to do it, start out with, if you're going to go with a shavette, which, is a good way to go because you don't want to spend too much money on straights right out of the gate. I would say if you're going to start with a shavette, start with the Feather SS. Or a copy of the SS. The reason why is the SS is built differently than an actual straight razor. It has a raised bump in the front of the razor. So as you're shaving, it is pushing the skin in front of the blade. So it's more like a DE with a safety bar on it. But it gives you the good muscle memory building that you're going to need for a straight razor. However, understand that stretching in front of the whisker as opposed to stretching behind the blade is a totally different animal. So if you're going to in my opinion, if you're going to progress from a shavette to a straight razor, you would want to get very proficient in your technique with the SS, whether that be a camisori or a folder, and then move on to the DX version of a Feather or a Kai, as they more replicate the blade ergonomics and angles of a straight razor. However, I do recommend starting with the Feather Pro Guard blade, because you will have some lateral movement as you're learning, and the Pro Guard blade has specific wires to prevent that. Now, can you still cut yourself with a Pro Guard? Absolutely. Very easily, as a matter of fact, but it gives you a little bit of a safety margin. I am not a big fan of the Pro Supers. I think that they've got just a little bit too much blade exposure for a shavette, but once again, that's my opinion. But going from the SS to the DX to a straight razor, if you don't jump right into a straight razor, in my opinion, is the safest way to go. Are you still going to get bloody? Absolutely. That's part of the learning curve. Most people say 50 shaves. It can be 50. It can be 100. It depends on you. I've seen people do it as quick as 10 shaves. But as some people have seen in my videos, you can slice yourself up after 1,750 shaves. It can happen. So that's what I would say. And usually they're racing stripes. The one recommendation I can make with either a shavette or a straight razor is never stop movement. In other words, do not touch your face at all before that blade is moving. The blade needs to be moving, because if you touch down and the blade is sharp, it's going to get you. That simple. And the other option, if you wanted to go straight into straights, is you can find a lot of straights that are used and have them restored by some of the Hohenmeisters here, and go that route as well. So hopefully, Ed, that gives you a little bit of an idea of I know you asked for the injuries and stuff like that. We'll dig up some stuff, and I think there's a couple of threads on the forum itself that are pretty graphic on that as well. So hopefully that helped. Now this comes from Sam. Good topic. I would like to hear your thoughts on the differences in technique, if any, between the two. I've always found the shavette needed an even lighter pressure, and actually this is from Michael rather, and actually that first one was from Sam for Ed, so I apologize about that. And I think there's probably some joking there as well. This is from Michael. He would like to hear our thoughts on the differences in technique, if any, between the two. I've always found the shavette needed a lighter pressure and could be used at a slightly more steep angle, the spine a bit more away from the face. Well, Michael, I would agree to some of that statement, and then I would disagree. Yes, you do need to, and once again, it depends on the shavette, because understand, you have barber shavettes, you have hair shavettes for doing straight razor haircuts, you have shaving shavettes, and there are a multitude of them. Some of them hold double-edged blades, some of them you have to snap the blade in half, some of them have the feather blades, so all of them are a little bit different, but I would agree that yes, you do have to have a little bit of a lighter touch with a shavette, simply because you're not dealing with the mass. And when I say mass, most, let's talk about DE shavettes, are a standard DE blade. Very short, inch to an inch and a half blade, where a straight, or even some of the, a straight razor is a 3-inch, 3-inch to 5-inch blade. I mean, they can be huge. So you've got more mass to deal with, which means that your rotationary, your yaw and your angle are going to change quicker with a shorter blade. And so when you're building your technique up, just that little small bit of movement will cause problems. So yes, you do need to be lighter. Now, that's for the barber style, or well, I call them barber style shavettes, beginning shavettes, the ones that you can find, from $10 up to about $30. Now, when you move into the feather systems, Kai systems, whatever the case may be, the SS is kind of a hybrid. It's like a DE with a longer, 1.5-inch blade, but it still gives you that safety bar aspect of pushing your skin in front of the blade. So you can be a little bit more aggressive with an SS, but these are all things to be trained on. Then when you move into the DX versions of the shavette, then it's more like a true straight razor, but still it's not the same, because depending on grind angle, bevel angle, all of that is going to be a factor. Now, where I disagree is when you say, you can put the blade out you put the spine out further from your face. Well, the only thing with that is it depends on the head of the shavette. Like on an SS, yeah, you've got a wider head, so just by nature, you're going to pull that a little bit further. But the angle is probably going to not be that much different. So I caution anybody using a shavette or even a straight razor to not go more than about one spine width. But that spine width in itself can be different depending on the razor, whether it be a wedge grind, whether it be a hollow grind, whether it be a semi-wedge, whether it be semi-hollow, whether it be a full-bellied hollow. Because with a full-bellied hollow, you're almost right up against your face, because if not, your angle is going to increase too much, and your angle of attack is going to create scraping. Now, when you create scraping, you also create blade shatter, and when you create blade shatter, people have a tendency to, instead of keeping the blade moving as they're shaving, they stop. And when they stop, just the lightest amount of pressure can give you a bite. So I would agree and disagree with that. By looking at angles and stuff like that, yes, the shavette that is a DE style shavette or a shorter blade shavette, usually they've got thicker heads because of the retention system for the blade. So yes, you're going to be a little bit wider. But if you look at the blade angle, it's probably not that far off between, whether it be a basic shavette, a feather style system, and then into the straight razors. Now, the WEC we haven't talked much about, because the WEC is even the most extreme, because you've got a very long blade, almost as long as a straight, and unless you're using a guard, you have got full blade exposure. Now, with that full blade exposure, if, and as we're talking, you increase that angle off your face, I guarantee you're going to slice yourself up like sushi. So you need to be careful with that when you when you look at that. Now, Ed's response, so I hope that helps, Michael. We're going to go into more. Earlier in the show, we talked about doing a Zoom call on straights, and I think that maybe we'll even incorporate maybe shavettes into that as well, and I'll volunteer to be the guinea pig on that. So we'll talk about that, and we'll see how much interest we get on that. Now, Ed Somnos did respond to Sam's responses. No, he just wants the happy moments. He wants all rainbows and puppies. Now, after that, the thread went south in a heartbeat, and Nurse Dave came in and said, Dave has posted several videos where he has shaved with shavettes with no issues. You just need to stick with the pros. Now, I don't know if he's talking about the pros, the pro guards, or the pros in shaving. So who knows? Dave is, and I mentioned this in his forum, I remember when Dave thought that straights or shavettes were absolutely the craziest thing in the world. And his technique is absolutely fantastic. However, once again, the SS is a much more forgiving shavette than anything on the market. So, now from Rich, Rich's opinion is shavettes have their place. I believe they can be a cruel mistress in training technique, because being too quick to punish in lapses in angle and pressure issues. The AC style shavettes are to a far lesser degree, as we've been discussing. They can come pretty close to a two straight experience, although the blades are shorter. But if one can master these, going to a true straight razor is a beautiful thing. Straights, however, are not without their little problems too. Got to keep them honed and stropped and dry, especially for the majority of his straights, and careful not to drop them lest deform or crack. Rich, that pretty much sums it up very eloquently. And yes, when shavettes, what's nice about shavettes, and where a lot of barbershops are actually mandating that that's all they use, are the fact that they're very easy. You don't have to hone. You don't have to strop. You change the blade out and boom. That's what I love about the Feather DX system. I use that. I use the Feather DX in the shop when I have clients that want a quick shave and they don't want to deal with the stropping or a regular, or some people are just scared to be shaved with a straight razor. And as Rich put, the shavettes that are the DE style shavettes or the shorter style shavettes, those can punish you badly if you're not very good with your technique. So to me, I almost think, in my opinion, I'm almost of the reverse. Master a Feather SS, go to the DX, go to the straights, and then come back to the regular shavettes and so forth, like the Wex and so forth. I think that's a better way to go as well. And don't ask me how I know this, but if your hands keep your hands dry, whether you're doing a shavette, especially if you're doing a Camisori shavette, and or a regular straight razor. Keep your hands dry. I actually use a little bit of alum on my hands while I'm holding it because your hands are going to be wet. Because if the blade slips, our natural intention is to try to catch the blade. Don't try to catch the blade. Let it hit the ground. Yes, it may chip, but if it's a shavette, usually you just change the blade out and you're good to go. But if it's a regular straight razor, you're probably going to chip the blade. Can it be honed out? Maybe. Can it not be? Maybe as well. But don't try to catch it. Just let it hit the ground and move your feet. And don't ask me how I know that one as well. So that's one thing you want to look at. And finally, Deep Sea asks, switching between a traditional straight razor and an AC style razor while learning. What are my thoughts on this? Well, as we've kind of mentioned throughout this whole segment, if you're starting off with a straight razor, stay with a straight razor. You're going to need to create that muscle memory over the 50 to 100 shaves that you're going to need to be successful as a consistent straight razor shaver. Once again, but you have to keep up on the honing. You have to now. So what I recommend in the beginning is if you're going to start with, I'll kind of answer this twofold. If you're going to start with a straight razor, buy 2 or 3, and buy inexpensive ones to start out with because you may never know if you're going to really like it or not. Have all 3 honed up and then start shaving. Do not worry about honing. Do not worry about lapping paper. Do not worry about any of that for the first couple of weeks, and that includes stropping. Rotate between the razors. Then maybe week 2 or week 3, start the stropping technique, because you can kill an edge by stropping wrongly and ruin a strop in a big hurry. But you don't want to have so much on your mind that you're going to get discombobulated, because that's going to ask for injury, because you're going to be thinking, what should I do here? And when you think, it doesn't flow. And then when one razor gets dull, you feel it tugging, send that razor off to somebody that can hone, and then start with the other razors. So in the beginning, if you're going to go that route with straights, stay with straights. If you're going to go with an AC style, Feather style straight, stay with that. The only caveat to that is if you're planning on using a DX style version, which is more like a true straight. But even then, I've seen a lot of people that have jumped right straight into straights and have tried to do too much at once, and they get very frustrated and they sell all their straights. So if you do it in a agendized format, I think that you'll have a better experience. So going back and forth is not recommended, but hey, you know what? It's your shave. Just be careful. Now, if you're going to start out with the AC, stay with the AC. Stay with that, stay with that, stay with that, stay with that, and maybe once a week, try a straight. But that's going to hone your skills, pardon the pun, as far as being a straight razor shaver. So, while learning, I don't believe. Either jump in full bore and go with straights, or jump into the AC style shavettes and learn from there, and then move up to a regular straight razor, because the differences in blade length are bigger. I do not recommend the DE style or Wex style shavettes for any beginners. I just don't think the technique is there yet, and you're going to ask for injury. Once you get the injury, your wife's going to look at you and say, what the hell are you doing? And that may be the end of your straight razor career. So We'd like your thoughts on this. Once again, these are my opinions only after shaving with a straight razor for a long time and shaving with all types of razors and have been injured by all types of razors. So we'll put the topic on what your thoughts were in the radio forum, and please let us know what you think. And hopefully that has been informative to you guys, and we hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back with the Owners Roundtable right after these messages.
Once I hurt my knee trying to make a tackle that a lot of people thought I shouldn't have been trying to make. Well, let me tell you, if you put that uniform on, you're supposed to be a football player, and you've got to be ready to go all the way. That's just the way I am. I guess that's why I use Brute. I like the smell. I like the way it works, the way it lasts.
Brute by Fabergé. After the game, after anything, Brute goes all the way.
If you're not going to go all the way, man, I mean, why go at all?
Welcome back to the TSC Radio Show, everybody. As you can see, we're doing something a little bit different this time. We're actually going to be doing a live Owners Roundtable with my partners, Chad Vargo and Chris Lindsay. Chad is on the upper left, and Chris is on the lower, unless you've got it different. We'd like to thank everybody for sticking with us for the last 2 years. We got a lot of things planned. And the anniversary gift that we did for everybody, that everybody took part in, we spent a lot of time on, and I think, Chad, you wanted to mention some things about that.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank everybody for, getting us to 2 years. I think that's quite the feat. Obviously, when we were putting this whole thing together, we had this big vision of getting everything to you guys. The original goal when the three of us were talking was like, we want these things delivered on March 15th, which is kind of the day. Obviously, you guys know the world was hit with a pandemic, and I know, Dave, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But, our original goal was we wanted to get that DOP bag that I think turned out amazing, by the way. And we wanted to basically be able to stuff everything into the DOP bag and ship it to you guys. And the idea is that you got a full set ready to go. You got a full set of soaps, you got aftershaves, you got a brush, other TSC swag, the mug was a nice addition, stuff along those lines. But we knew going into it, comparing the second anniversary to the first anniversary, we were taking some other leaps. We were introducing more soaps, which then brings in scent profiles, and some guys don't like certain scents. We knew that not everybody was going to like everything. So I feel like if anything came up, we addressed those. But for the most part, I feel like it was a success. We are able to keep the lights on, which I think was our goal. And we're going to just continue to move forward with TSC, and I can't wait to put together a third anniversary. So I don't know, Chris, if you want to add anything.
Not a lot to add. I'll just say that this was another one of those examples of you think you plan everything out, and well, Chad, you always you're the calendar guy. We put everything on the calendar and have it all. We're going to get this done by that time, this done by that time, and we had this really calendared out, and this was one of those examples of the calendar bit us in the butt, and all that didn't matter. But I would say that even with all of the challenges that were thrown at us, it was an example of everything coming together really well. We worked with a vendor that I had worked with in the past, and some of the other vendors that we were working with bailed on us, and it was good that someone that we had someone that worked with us and really came through. So even with the challenges, it was kind of neat that it came together, and even when it came together, earthquake got thrown into it. So,
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
you know, it was just one of those examples of.
There was one thing, it was another, man.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And Chris, you touched on a good point there, and I don't think a lot of the guys really kind of recognize some of this. But so Sterling, like Rod, right, who helped us with getting the hipster soap and the aftershave, his wife, you know, was like near the end of term. She was pregnant, and they just gave birth to their baby a few weeks ago. So he was dealing with all of that. You introduced a brand new soap base, right? Your Master Barber soap base. And Lisa upgraded her soap base and introduced a new soap base for our soap as well. And kudos to her, and I don't think that we gave her enough credit. She held off on releasing her new soap base until we started shipping. So not only did our delay affect just our forum, this was one of our businesses who delayed releasing a brand new product and missing out on potential profit at those times. You know, so that's just kudos to the relationships of what, you know, we put together. So I know that the barbershop scent that, you know, we came up with her wasn't a win for everybody. But I think we all respect, you know, just the way that it came together, and we got a new soap base. And I know, Dave, you used that new soap the other day, and you were raving about how nice the performance was.
Well, and not only that, but the actual scents and everything else that went into it. You know, obviously it smells like a barbershop, and that's something I kind of know what it smells like. And so the new base is fantastic. Not that the old base was bad, you know. And you know, this is one of those situations where the new soap base was nice. And I think a lot of new things were tried for this second anniversary gift package. And I think overall, yeah, with a few minor hiccups and speed bumps, I think it went over, even with everything happening with the pandemic. And it was still, I mean, it was not that much later than what we had hoped it was going to be. When you really think about it, with all the stuff going on, especially with the worldwide geographic locations of where all this stuff came from. I'm still impressed that it came together as smoothly as it really did.
We have one box that we still need to ship out, but the country that he's living in will not accept foreign packages right now. So it would just sit in customs. So once his country allows, you know, us to ship them out, I've got his box downstairs, and we'll put the label on it, and we'll get it in the mail for him.
Right.
So you're right. It all came together.
Example of things coming together, and you know, so I'm proud of it. I think that it's a good example of a community coming together, and a good example of what it can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, exactly. I agree, and we hope that that all the members, you know, if nothing else, even if you had a hiccup with any one of the specific products, you appreciate the concept of what we were doing for the anniversary, because as you know, Chris, Chad, and I all believe that you guys are the lifeblood of this forum. Going back a little while, everybody's been watching us saying that it could not be done. There's no way we can have a self-moderated forum and be as successful as we are. Well, we're 2 years into it, and it's turned out to be fantastic. Everybody is embracing the self-moderation, and it shows that we're all adults and we can do it ourselves, you know, and that's a testament to the members.
In my hell, these last 5 weeks, we've been having Zoom calls and sharing private Zoom links and getting guys together in the evenings, you know, once a week and shooting the breeze. You don't see that happening on other forums, you know.
Oh, well, and not only that, but I mean, all of us on the forum right now, Chad, are convinced that you work for the federal government, because that questionnaire that you sent out is actually more than it took for me to get my top security clearance. So,
oh, please. What's your mother's maiden name again?
Jackson.
Okay, gotcha. Last four of your social?
888-8888.
Got it. Okay. New credit card app going in.
So, you know, talking about the pandemic and talking about everything that's been going on, one of the previous segments of the radio show, we talked about what the guys are doing to remain sane during this lockdown. Now, as of this recording, or as of this airing, a good portion of the states have started to open up. I know Chad's has. I know Arizona's opening up a little bit more, and I think California might be. So let's touch on that first. What are the timelines? Because this will be airing this Friday. So that would be the 7th, 8th, the 8th. So as of the 8th, and I guess we'll just go around the horn. For here, they are opening up barbershops in a limited way, salons, retail locations with social distancing. However, restaurants won't be allowed to be open until the 11th. The funny thing is everybody is complaining now that they don't want to go to these places. They complain like crazy that they wanted to open it, but now they're like, well, maybe we should wait a little bit. Do you guys find you've seen the same thing in Utah and California?
Well, California is doing, on the 8th, they're going to be opening retail, a lot of retail. And I think the explanation was Mother's Day is coming, and at least now we can open up, they said florists and retail. Barbershops and salons are not on the list.
Right.
The only explanation was it'll be months.
Yeah.
Dine-in is not going to be open for a while. They didn't give dates. Takeout is open. There are some dine-in places that are open for walk-in and order and takeout, but not dine-in. The big thing in California right now is beaches, yes or no.
Yeah.
But by Friday there'll be a lot more open. Essentially, I don't know what people's feelings are. I think in California it's if the sun's out, we're out. If the sun's not, we're not. Whatever it is, it's California. I think it depends on whether you're Northern or Southern California.
Sure.
But the one thing I'll say I kind of laugh about is I'm a financial advisor. One of the conversations I have with people is retirement planning and such. And conversation that's been had is barber, it's recession proof. Huh.
No, yeah.
Not this time, right? This is who in the right mind would have ever thought that barbers would be locked out.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the one event that would do it.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, and when you really think about it from a barbering standpoint, is the close proximity with people. When you're talking to somebody, you're cutting their hair, you're shaving them. Really, when you think about it, it's a prime way to spread stuff. It really is.
Yeah.
No matter how much you try to sanitize, while you're actually cutting or combing the hair, all that's coming into your hands and everything else. And like here in Arizona, we can go back as of Friday. I'm not going back till the 20th because for two reasons. One, I don't want my clients to have to wear a mask because it's uncomfortable for them. I won't wear a mask because I wear a mask and all of a sudden my glasses fog up, and then it could be a real bad haircut day. So I'm just gonna wait and let things sort themselves out a little bit. And what's funny is that a good portion of the barbershops here have decided to wait. They were all clamoring to open, but now they've thought about it and said, well, why don't we spend a couple of weeks seeing how things go? And there's some barbershops that won't open up until June 1. So who knows?
Yep.
My biggest fear was that, regardless of how you believe on how the virus started, where it's going, what it's doing, what we don't want to see is we don't want to see this up and down, because my biggest fear is that if we go into a huge second run of this, they're going to lock everything down. And it could be months, and that's what I don't want to see. But, I know in Utah, Chad, you guys have seemed to handle it pretty well overall.
Overall, I got to give, credit to our state. I think that they've, what I think the state of Utah did different is that they embraced the private sector. So we have contact tracing is very big here. We've upped our testing. So we're a state of only 3.2 million people is our population. And when we are at our peaks in the middle of the week, when we're processing tests, we're processing 5,000 to 6,000 a day, but we have the capacity to process 10,000 a day. So we can't even get enough people to go in and get tested, and that's with a 24-hour turnaround time. And that's just because our governor has embraced the private sector. He kind of said, here's my recommendations. and let's come together as one state, and let's just do what we need to do and do the right thing. And it's hard because, you know, you go to the grocery store and you see 50% of the people with the masks on and 50% of them without their masks on. And as you guys know, I was installing a new microwave the other day. When I went to Lowe's to pick that up, I can't tell you how many people were walking through Lowe's with their kids, young kids, you know, and kids touch everything, you know. So it's not necessarily that I'd be afraid of my kid getting sick. It's that they could be spreading it and you don't even realize it. So there's pros and cons to all of it. You know, the big thing is that we are opening up slowly. So I think when you open more up, I think you are going to see a little increase, right? But like you were saying, Dave, you don't want it to see it go like this. So I think that's what we're all monitoring and we're all hoping for. But I'll tell you what, my favorite pub, when they open back up, and they aren't opened yet. They said they're waiting like another week or so. I'm going to be going in and I'm going to be ordering that garlic burger to go, and I'm bringing it home. I have been craving that thing for a few months because I love that burger and I want it bad.
You know, and that brings, you know, that's a perfect segue into, and I'll start with you, Chris. What have you been doing to, for lack of a better term, stay sane during this whole thing? I don't know about you, but March 15th was the first day that I ceased operations and started staying at home. So,
yeah, sadly, my life, there's been no change. I work in a building that is totally isolated. I'm in a profession that is considered essential, you know, to the operation of the capital markets. I tried to work from home for a day. That doesn't work. Simply doesn't work. So I go to the office. I do my thing. I haven't seen clients. You know, I haven't seen clients. I've done 2 Zoom meetings. That's horrid. That doesn't work. You know, there's been phone calls. I've done 1 meeting in a parking lot, got sunburned, didn't do that again. You know, I was out for like, you know, 20 minutes on either side of the car. That didn't work. So basically it's been life as normal, with the exception of I take every other Friday off to, you know, try to stay sane, of course, because it's pretty stressful. I mean, you know, it's not the I don't know, the health part of it. It's the for me, it's been managing people's finances, essentially, and managing their stress.
Oh, especially when you see the markets just, you know, tank up. And I'm not worried about that. It's their worry, their stress, I guess. Sure.
You know, and of course, I have older clients, and I'm more worried about their well-being, not so much their money, but their well-being.
Yeah.
So it's the stress that I take on for others that bothers me.
How's the family holding up? Good?
Oh, yeah. You know, generally speaking, you know, family's been good. Everything's been good. So it's not been, I haven't been like, unlike Chad, where he, you know, chronicles, you know, day 1 of isolation, you know. I don't go, you know, we haven't gone anywhere as far as, you know, literally the places I've gone have been essentially Lowe's.
Right.
You know, things break. I've mentioned on the forum, I had something living under my shower for quite some time, and I've had to do some rodent, you know, control, and Lowe's has been my good friend there. But you know, so I've watched as, like Chad has seen, I've watched as that place has been a horrible place to visit. But I go at 6:30 in the morning, you know, when as early as I can go. I feel like, you know, the intrepid explorer, you know, where you pack up all your stuff and you go out as early as you can, you know, and try to avoid the wildebeest or something.
Sure.
So I, you know, that's been my life. You know, so it's not been stressful in that regard. But.
Right. Well, that's like, for me, you know, it's and the good majority of my clients are older. So like you said, for me, it's all about their well-being. Plus, as most of you know, my wife and I assist with her, or I help Sharon out with her mom. So that, you know, the big concern for me was if I get exposed, I bring it home to Sharon. Sharon exposes her mom. Boom. So to me, you know, obviously coming out of the same, you know, roughly the same line of work that you do, being in the insurance business. Fortunately, this is a third, fourth career now, so it's not that critical. But you do get. You'd think that in Arizona, Utah, or California, where the weather is, usually pretty nice, that you couldn't go stir crazy. But you can. You get, as they say, binge butt for watching too much TV, or And for me, the big savior has been riding my bike. That's been the big thing with me. And so, how about you, Chad? How's you and the family? Because for Sharon, it hasn't changed. She works from home. She's an engineer. Nothing's changed for her. I mean, absolutely nothing. It's just a regular day. So, and it's kind of tough for me because, for me, it's all changed and I don't see that. And sometimes, that can be a little stressful, So how about you, Chad? How about there?
It's interesting because I was coming off of just finishing basketball season. And we have some spring tournaments that were coming up. And so we were hearing about this stuff coming and that things were going to possibly be canceled. And at work, I remember it was the beginning of March, I was offered a new position that was going to start the first Monday in April. And then we started hearing more about these cases. And I'm booking travel for Phoenix. Right, my new team is going to be down in Phoenix. I'm going to have some of my team down in Phoenix. So we're booking travel, looking at hotels, getting the rental cars all lined up, making sure that my corporate card is moved over to the new expense area. And then it was like the week of March 13th or whatever. So it was like the 8th or something that Monday.
I remember you and I talked about you coming to Arizona. Yeah.
Yeah. It was March 8th, I think, Utah reported their first death. And I remember sitting in work at my desk, I was talking to some of my old team members, and we're all like, something's going to happen. We could tell something was going to happen. And when we came into the office on the 13th, that Friday, we all went to lunch. And when the end of the day came, we all kind of said goodbye, and we kind of knew we weren't coming back, And that Monday, we got the phone calls. We're all working from home. Don't come into the building. Everybody stay home. There were more deaths over the weekend. And then on that Wednesday, the 17th, the earthquake hit. So that was just 2 days into it. We got hit with that big, massive earthquake, and then we ended up with over 1,400 aftershocks. They've all died down now, thankfully. It's been almost 3 weeks since we felt one, which is good. But the way that
you sent it down here.
Yeah. Well, I live 8 miles away from the epicenter, so anything that was above a 2.5, we could feel or hear. Right? We might not have felt it, but you would hear it rattle the blinds or something like that in the windows. But
and Chris is saying, "Hold my beer."
I know. Well, 5.7, man, on liquefaction ancient lake beds, man. You feel it, that's for sure. But, the way we're staying sane is we got 2 young kids. And here's the thing I think that some people don't realize, we don't turn the damn TV on. We don't watch TV. We aren't watching anything like that. We've got 2 young kids that we're trying to, help them with. My oldest with school, the youngest with just trying to make it so she's not sitting in front of Peppa Pig all day. My wife is virtual teaching, which is new to her. She's not used to that, and she's teaching a classroom of 20-some-odd 5th graders. And then I'm down in the basement trying to learn a brand new job. So when we usually turn on the TV, it's after the kids are in bed, and then Megan and I will sit down and watch like an hour of TV. But we realized that, we haven't been as active, because as a referee, I'm constantly out running or doing something or training, something along those lines at the gym. So we went and bought bikes. So we've been doing some more bike rides as a family, trying to get a little bit more active so we don't, lose all our muscle and stuff, and just trying to do little things like that, little family activities, go for walks, play more games, board games. We've had a couple fires in the backyard. I'm kind of cherishing this time with the family. I'm trying to find the positive and trying to find the silver lining, because I know one day, like you, Dave, you're not seeing your son right now.
Right.
So I'm trying to cherish these times right now, knowing that my 2 babies are here with me and they're safe, and I get to spend more time with them. So it's kind of nice.
And I think you guys hit the nail on the head. I think that there is going to be a fundamental change, I think, in the way people do things. I think that you're going to see much more telecommuting now. I think companies are going to realize that although it's good to go into work, if you've got a 7,000 square foot building and you're paying, millions and millions of dollars a year for rent, but yet you can get the same productivity out of people going home, that probably will, from a bottom line standpoint, and Chris, you can mention on this, that may happen. The only problem that I don't like about that is we are a social animal. We can't, it's tough to take that away. And one thing I wanted to ask you, Chris, is I've seen pictures with people not going out. Has the smog and everything, are those doctored pictures, or is that really clearing up over the Los Angeles basin?
No, that's for real. And it's not even just here. You've seen pictures of like India,
right?
Where you can see mountains that you've not seen for generations. And but I also I read, I know it's somewhat off topic, but I read something that they were talking about the carbon emission being that this has almost no impact on I thought the green police essentially would be like, oh, this is wonderful, this sets us back, this is like super wonderful, and the thing is, no, this isn't, so it's beautiful in that, it's the smog is gone, but I guess what they're trying to say is, we'll start right back up and then some.
Sure.
Give us 2 weeks and we'll be right back on the road, and it'll be at the wrong time, and the smog will be back, and we'll all be dying of smog poisoning again.
Well, and it's something that we've never really had to go through before, but I think what Chad said, it has brought families closer together or driven them further apart, depending on, on how that is, because I know that, the one thing about a marriage that works is when you get up and go to work and then come home, you're not,
there's a dynamic. Yeah.
You're not there all the time, but well, let's move on to what do you guys what kind of things are we looking forward to year number 3? Although if those members know that for some reason I'm stuck in the 3rd anniversary and I don't know why, so what are we looking at in year 3, guys?
Well, we're approaching 400 members already. I guess the 300, 400 member mark is already there.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not eating anything hot. In fact, I know
actually either is Chad.
And I know, in fact, I'm pretty certain that I'm not doing anything for members from this point on. I think at this point we're just kicking it to, let's pick somebody else to do something.
Well, Chad and I talked about it, and I think for 500, what would be kind of neat is if us 3 got together in a restaurant together and just taped having the owners roundtable. No hot food, no, death nut, stab yourself with a fork type stuff, but just
500 cheeseburgers.
I tell you what, for 500 members, I'll drink out of a paper straw.
There you go. Ooh, violation.
That's right. I'll drink out of 2 paper straws.
Yeah, there you go. Chad, where do you see us in year 3?
I feel like in a sense I'm kind of the visionary. I feel like I've got this big grand vision and stuff along those lines. And I've noticed that my time on the forum since all this Corona stuff has started, my time has come down.
And I've gone up.
Yeah, well, it's been a week, Dave. Give it some time. You'll forget your password.
More than a week. Shut up.
But I think we're going to see people are going to recognize that we are now a brand. I think that we've officially branded ourselves, and I think that's important because when you brand yourself, you're known for something, right? Look at Nike, look at these big brands, and within the shaving community, you have those brands as well. People that have branded themselves are like Sterling Soap, Razor Rock, even, you go to the international market, you got like Saponificio, Veracino has branded themselves. Everybody recognizes what they are. And I think that's kind of the most important thing that I'd like to see as we move into year 3 is really identifying what our brand is, what we want to be known for. And I think it's really what we've kind of pushed already is that we recognize that we can be a self-moderated forum. And every now and then you take the coronavirus thread that I opened up. Every now and then you got to step in and you got to say, guys, this isn't a political debate. It's not a political ploy. It's just, a safe place to provide your own personal opinion. And I think that's really what we're trying to build here. Everyone hated the like system on other forums, and it's no, the like system works. Look, it works.
Let me jump in on that, Chad, because you brought up a really good point. Is that every once in a while you do have to come in, and I think those new members, need to understand that no decision is made on how to handle any type of issue or problem without us three talking, and the members need to know that it's a consensus. And usually, I don't think we've ever had a situation where we've had any dissenting votes. We talk it out until all of us agree, and then move from there as a united front. So you don't have one person saying one thing and being blindsided by another. And I think that's the biggest key. And I think the fact that we understand that we're all adults and we can have conversations about any subject, and if we are policing ourselves, then it's going to be respectful. I don't think I've seen one situation in the 2 years plus where we've had somebody really, really complain about being disrespected by another member.
Yeah,
I really don't think we've seen it.
And Dave, that's my point. You hear this out there in the world where you got to tiptoe around if you're on Facebook or Twitter or something like that, because everybody's going to just looking out there for an internet fight. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that's not going to happen ever at TSC. It probably will. But my point is that even the new members are coming in and they're recognizing that this place is accepting, right? You just be yourself. You form your opinion. You present it, whether it's about a shave soap, a shave brush, the coronavirus, whatever it might be. But as long as you don't make it political or religious, you're going to be fine.
Exactly.
And we function, and we're proof that you get a group of gentlemen together, they're going to be fine. And I think that's really what I'm looking forward to in year 3 is defining our brand and continuing down that path.
Well, and I agree with you, and I think with the experience that the three of us had when we first put this concept to paper, we saw what was happening in other places, and we took the lessons that we've learned in other places and in our own, because let's face it, all of us came from different backgrounds, different ages, different experiences, and I think that's what makes this work, is the fact that we're looking at it from a 360-degree view rather than just a 45 here and a 45 there. And I think that's what makes this such a special place. And really, it's exceeded, even though there's been times, obviously, when I haven't been around as much, but, that I keep an eye on things. And what impresses me most is the fact that this has turned out to be far more, because, Chad, when you and I first talked about it, far more than I ever imagined. And it's what I like about it is it's growing, but it still has that feel of a small town. If this is going to sound funny, but to me, we're the Mayberry RFD of shaving forums, where everybody knows your name, and everybody enjoys being with each other. And the good news is everybody knows that they can banter and joke around, and there's no malice intent at all. None. Yeah. It's just having fun.
As long as you have your mom's permission before you do it.
Well, I was wondering how long that was going to be before Chris would come up. But the good news is one of the items that he had to get permission for has been approved and it is his possession. So as I did on his shave journal today, there's only one thing left. And Chris, if you're watching this, which I know you are, Mr. Gearnor, Pocky, you need to do it. Everybody here mostly has done the hot stuff, so you need to do it.
And if you spit out a little bit, it's not the end of the world.
Little bit? Yeah, it was more than a little
Say
bit.
it's stale. Just say it's stale. It gives you a good excuse.
I'm telling you, that chip it didn't even have the texture of a chip. There was no crunch.
Yeah.
Well,
horrible.
If he gets a fresh one, then he has no excuse.
Exactly. I had a fresh one, but my problem was that I forgot that you're not supposed to fast for 48 hours before you eat it. So
never doing that again.
So we know he's got a stale one already. It's stale already. We know it.
I think also we have to, we have taken, and I don't want to say it's our doing, but I think it's helped that we've taken guys that are hobbyists. And what I mean by hobbyists is not retail hobbyists, but just guys that were doing stuff in their garage. And it's so neat to see the development into a cottage business. Chris, CBL, there's a perfect example. I remember when you and I first started talking about it, and look at where it's come. Eric Sorrentino, Frank with Dragon's Beard, Joe with Sterling was already there, and Lisa was already there. But they're
Sean up in New York with the knives.
Exactly. I mean, it goes on, and I think the people think the value of being either a hobbyist or a retail artisan with us. And, and not only that, but the members are telling their friends to join.
Yep.
And to me, that is more important than anything, because if you're going to put your recommendation on the line by saying, hey, come check this place out, that means in some way, shape, or form, the three of us have done something right.
Yeah. Well, I bring up Sean as one of our hobbyists, and the reason I bring him up is, back in September, October I was up in New York, in his neck of the woods up in upstate New York, so Rochester area. And him and I went, and we broke bread. We went and we had dinner. I had a couple beers, and I got to sit across from the guy, talk to him, see his missing finger, and the guy's great, and now when I come home and I'm ever cooking with my Dutch oven and I'm using the Dutch oven lifter that he, forged for me and made for me, it means something more now, and that's the thing about this place. This place is full of, I'm more close with some of the people on this forum than I am with people that I went to high school or college or whatever with,
Well,
they're my friends.
I've had the fortune of, I've obviously you've been to my home, and Rich has been here, and I think my big goal, with what you guys said about what your vision is for the third year, my big vision, barring anything getting crazy with this current pandemic, but my main focus, aside from this radio show and other things, is going to be getting the first convention, the first get-together complete.
It's got to happen.
For hopefully
we've been talking about it for 2.5 years now,
and hopefully for 2021, we will have a venue, probably Vegas, for the first one. And I know Chad, Chris, you and I, we've all talked about doing it annually, and then doing a Western swing, a Midwestern swing, and an Eastern swing. And then rotate that. That way, people that that can't make it all the way to the West Coast or can't make it all the East Coast can feel that they can come to these. And hopefully that'll be coming in 2021. That's my biggest thing. And then more than anything else, and I do this, as you guys know, with every one of my videos, I thank the members each and every day for everything they do for us. I think it's very, very important. Anything you guys want to add to that?
No.
Okay.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head, my friend.
Well, good, Chad. I'm glad you're feeling good, because we had topics for the owners' roundtable, and it's amazing, Chad. You're a fairly important guy, because most of these are about you. So take a nice drink. The first question comes from Dave in Kentucky. And what Dave would like to know is, where did Chad get his acting degree? And I assume this is from the crazy acting job you did when you ate the chip.
I ate that chip. And the aftermath the next morning, sitting on the john, I know I ate the chip. So I got my acting, probably back in the first grade when I was in the school play, and I learned that I couldn't sing. So I had to act. So there you go.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good. Chris, you got anything you want to add to that one? Because I think he's trying to bail on it pretty quick.
I think anyone's going to act when they eat. You eat something hot, you learn to act real quick.
Exactly.
It's true.
So our next question is for me, and it's from KJ. And this goes out to you, Dave in Kentucky. It says, what is it going to take to get Dave in Kentucky to join our Zoom calls? Well, we've already threatened to take away all his baking paraphernalia so he can't cook his cookies and his muffins. But I think he gets up early, but hopefully we will get him to join us here pretty soon. This is another question, Chris.
Real quick, Dave.
Yeah.
Real quick. I just want to say, if you haven't joined a Zoom call,
you need to.
You need to do it. Even if you're one of the guys that you're not going to really talk that much, you're just going to listen, maybe participate in the game that we play on the phone or something like that, you got to join, even if it's only for 30 minutes. It is the best corona cure out there. I'm telling you. It's fantastic.
Well, and not only that, but, we were talking about how our forum, is becoming family friendly, and more so is never on any of the places I've ever been at do the wives get actively involved in the Zoom calls.
Yep.
In fact, tomorrow Sharon's going to be on her own screen in the Zoom call.
Well,
so it's pretty cool.
Last week after everyone dropped, my wife and I sat at the kitchen table and we talked with Mr. Doug Keister for another hour and a half.
Right.
Just shooting the breeze and talking about life. And
yeah,
when would you ever do that? I mean,
exactly.
And he's a great guy. It was wonderful.
We'll tell TSC members, join our Zoom calls. There's a thread. The permissions are all given the day before, so you can see it. Chris, I'll give you this one. This is from Dawn, but it's about Chad, of course, as all the questions are. I mean, what I've realized is that Chad's like our child, and we're the parents, and he's the spoiled little kid. And he gets all the toys. He gets all the toys. So this one's from Dangerous Don, and I'll let you answer this. It says, Dave, will Chad ever admit that his mustache and goatee belongs to Fisher-Price?
Actually, it's from the G.I. Joe series. It was inspired by the G.I. Joe series, and his son has that Cobra bad guy series. So it's yeah.
Oh, you have just given me so many ideas for custom titles. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
hey, I sent you a picture up close. It's coming in and it's looking good.
Yeah, but but to be honest with you, Chad, you really pitched things over the plate today when you said that, when I had to make mention that you grow your hair like your grandmother does, because you said she was Mexican. That I don't know why you did that, because I mean,
she is.
Yeah, I understand that, but and another one from KJ, and it says, this one's for Dave. It says, why does Chad have no sense of humor? I have no idea. I think you have a sense of humor, but something must have happened. What did you do?
I have no idea. I'd like to know. I feel like I'm one of the most laid back and funniest guys out there. I mean, I laugh at Dave every morning.
Wait a minute. Wait. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that, but okay. And according to Sean, your buddy that you broke bread with, the reason why you don't have a sense of humor is because, as he says, that's easy. KJ talked to him before he was 3/4 in the bag through his way of whiskey bottle on Zoom nights.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I tried to sit down with just some, bubbly, and then I got talked into whiskey, and then the peanut butter came out.
That was so disgusting. See, TSC members, this is why you need to come to the Zoom calls, because if nothing else, you're going to see things. You thought that, what's that Tiger show that came out?
Oh, Dave's Tiger King.
Tiger King. So if you thought Tiger King was intense, you've got to see Chad drink whiskey, tequila, and eat peanut butter all at the same time. That's amazing.
That's just wrong.
Guys, as we wrap this up, anything else you want to add, say to the members to complete our owner roundtable for this show?
Tequila's wrong.
Well,
Well, wait a minute.
I'll say
a tequila story since he brought it up.
Oh, okay.
And this is a public service announcement for all TSC members. Whatever you do not go down to your local Walgreens or CVS and spend 79 cents on a pint bottle of Pancho Villa tequila and a 6-pack of 7-Up. You'll end up doing poppers and you'll fall asleep in a guacamole bowl. That's all I will say about that.
Yeah.
Well, I also learned don't eat the worm.
Or eat
Really?
peanut butter with tequila.
Yeah, that's just...
It works. But, in all seriousness, I'll just kind of say cheers to the TSC. Thank you for 2.5 wonderful years, 2 wonderful years. We're going into year 3. I'm excited about it. I think we're going to do great. And to Dave, Chris, thank you guys for being such great partners because you guys make it pretty easy to do. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I consider us all 3 brothers family. I mean, we're really family. And yes, this real estate is still waiting for the tattoo shops to open, and I will be branded for life with the TSC logo. And so, Chad, you can't change the logo because I'm not going to get it taken off.
Henna works really well.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, any final thoughts?
No, next time I need to find light, though. I'm going dark here.
No, we can see you. We can see you good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the TSC Radio Show, we thank you for joining us in the owner roundtable. And we try to do these and let us know what your comments are in the thread on how you liked the Zoom call with the owner meetup. So once again, TSC members, thank you so much and have a great night. Well, TSC members, that brings another TSC Radio Show to a close. We certainly appreciate you spending time with us, and we hope that you enjoyed the reboot of the TSC Radio Show. Please make sure that you give us some comments on what you'd like to see in future shows. We're going to try to make this more regular as time goes by. Finally, what we'd like to do is we'd like to thank you as being members. You are the lifeblood of the TSC, and we appreciate you and your support each and every day. And we'd like to thank all of our hobbyists and our retail artisans as well, and we appreciate the fact that we're growing. And tell your friends about us, and just give them our website, www.theshavingcadre.com. I've been your host, Barber Dave, and join us next time on TSC Radio.